had heard, last I heard, it was kind of like a raunchy club back in the 80s.
Man, it smells good in
Most
here.
of the buildings had fallen in on themselves, so only the facades are original. All right, guys. So, I'm not really going to touch much on the 5 rules of bourbon or anything unless anybody needs a refresher, but you're going to hear it all throughout. I will touch briefly on our mash bill, which we do share with Woodford Reserve, our sister brand, by the way. Mash bill is the same. The similarities do stop there, however. So we utilize 72% corn, which kind of maintains that soft, sweet profile for our bourbon. I'm going to pass this around. This is rye. We use 18%, relatively high. That's our flavoring grain. You can smell it, kind of like rye bread. It gives us a little more robust, spicy backbone. Last, 10% malted barley. Does not introduce a lot of flavor, but it does introduce a very important enzyme called amylase, which breaks down starch, complex carbohydrates, into simple sugars for our yeast. And I call our yeast our toddlers. So they are picky little eaters, for one. They also have to be monitored constantly or they will hurt themselves. And last, they are tiny little boogers. Starch is about 100,000 glucose molecules or more all bonded together in this long chain and rolled up into a giant ball, basically. So just for fun and perspective, say you were a hungry little yeast and you ordered a 6-inch glucose sub sandwich for lunch, and I instead handed you a molecule of cornstarch, that sub sandwich would be over 1.5 miles long. You wouldn't know what to do with it. That's where amylase comes in. It's going to dice up the starch into individual single serving sizes of glucose and maltose that our yeast can gobble up and turn into alcohol, which is the whole point of this thing. So we have grains, we have good Kentucky water. Of course, the reason 95% of bourbon is made here, we sit on one of the 3 largest limestone shelves in the world. The other 2 are Scotland and Ireland, which there's no irony in that. Here it runs from about mid-Indiana all the way just past Lynchburg, Tennessee. So you can figure that part out. There's nowhere for falling water to go. It dives down into a giant limestone aquifer and it must percolate through this porous rock to get there. It's filtered naturally along the way. Removed of impurities. Iron, importantly, has a chemical reaction with alcohol, ergo bourbon. It turns it black, rancid, and cloudy very quickly. We're naturally iron-free in our water here. That was especially important in those days before you had reverse osmosis and advanced technology and filtration and all that. We were naturally in a pristine environment for making whiskey, so we know that. Last fun fact, that limestone introduces calcium and magnesium into the water, which not only sweeten it up, making it great for bourbon, gives it that cool blue-green color you're going to see as you kind of drive through bourbon country. Also acts as nutrients for us, our yeast, our livestock. As soon as they settle here, they notice livestock grow a little bigger, stronger, faster. To this day, you can measure about a 10% better bone density in our horses here in Kentucky, to a whole other industry. That's about it. We have grains, we have water, we cook those down. The barley is going to convert all the starch back into sugars, and then we're ready for our other proprietary ingredient, which is our yeast. So we're no different than bread makers or wine makers. Each strain of yeast introduces its own unique flavors and aromas. Take a quick, I'm going to get to this in a second. Take a quick taste of this. Just dip a little finger in. Notice how sweet that is. We're going to walk down here. You're going to see the inner workings. This fermenter is draining, so this is being sent up to the still. Let me find a good one here. All right, we're going to walk all the way down to 4. This one has the most action. Just kind of circle up over to the tank here. Yeah. Oh yeah, don't get too far up. So, we started this whole process with grains and water, or what you would also call sweet mash. From there, we do add a little bit of the back set from the previous cook back into the end of the cook, giving us sour mash, which 99% of bourbon is today. That's because it breeds consistency. Yeast are single-celled little fungus. They will mutate at the drop of a hat. If you were to introduce them into different environments all the time, they would adapt to their new environment but mutate along the way. And the more that happens, they would start creating different flavors and aromas. We don't want that. We've had this same strain since the end of Prohibition. So the first thing sour mash does is gonna maintain a chemical blueprint to let these new guys know what they want to be when they grow up, ensuring they are creating those same banana pear aromas you're smelling right now. We want that each and every time. Also, you saw the coils in that tank that we're draining right now. You'll see those everywhere. They are cooling coils. We're not cooking those or anything. A bunch of Easter little maniacs. There's basically a couple trillion little cookie monsters in there just ravenously eating sugar right now. And as they are producing ethanol alcohol, they're releasing carbon dioxide, all the bubbles. They're also releasing heat. You can feel how much is coming off here right now. That's all the yeast.
Ooh.
And if we let them party too hard, they would create too much heat and kill themselves off. So we have to run cold water through those coils, keep them 80 to 89 degrees or less. Keeps them healthy and efficient because they do have a job to do. It takes them about 4 days in here to eat all that sugar. Make this 10% alcohol corn beer, which if y'all want to taste this one, relatively to that, or relative to that first tank, go ahead. Looks like most of you did. Or if you've done it before, I will say there's a reason there's not a lot of corn beer on liquor store shelves. It serves a higher purpose. But that's what we're doing with tank 2 there. We are draining that, running it up through the still. These tanks are 4,500 gallons. They will yield about 14 barrels or roughly 600 gallons of White Dog whiskey, which if you do the math, that's not much. That's only like 12 to 15% of this tank that ends up inside a barrel when it's all said and done. That's before evaporation, before seepage into the wood. That's what we start with. Of course, this is small time. These are 4,500 gallons. Our primary facility, the tanks are 40,000 gallons. You guys were at Buffalo Trace yesterday. 90,000 gallon tanks. They are the size of this room tilted on its head. But that ratio is still the same. 12 to 15% is what we utilize in here. All right, savvy on fermentation? Good.
Thank you.
Have you all ever been to the, if you ever go or you have been to the Guinness
Yes.
Storehouse in Ireland?
Yes.
Imagination, the same design firm that designed this. You can kind of tell with the big tall ceilings, the escalators going on.
This one.
All right, step on in, face the wrong direction in the elevator.
The Greek
We call
glass.
this the Willy Wonka
A
elevator.
Greek glass elevator.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, face the other direction.
Robin, you gotta turn around.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yes.
So going up, you're going to
Sorry.
see Copper Pot Doubler, which is a beautiful piece of equipment, second phase of distillation.
Whoa.
And then you get face to face with the 44-foot tall copper column still,
Yeah.
which is made less than a mile from here by Vendome Copper and Brass Works, the premier still maker in America. They're actually one of the top 3 in the world.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, right in the heart of downtown Louisville.
Do they do tours?
No, they do not. Those guys are printing money at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Too. It's like a 3 to 5 year wait until finish your own window.
Yeah.
Real quick, you saw this in the video, but that's George Garvin Brown, our founder, in his office in this very building in 1904. And we know when this was taken because we were the first advertised bourbon as well. And we know when this ad campaign was running. If you look close, you'll see that ad, the current ad hanging behind George in the office right there. Also, cool to see 1, 2, 3 women working in an office in 1904 in the bourbon industry, which is damn near unheard of at the time. Pretty progressive in that regard. They're about half the reason you'll see flowers in a lot of our ads as well. You could not advertise alcohol to women at that point, so we would dress our ads up with an orchid or a lily, kind of as a wink to the ladies. Flip side of that coin is plants and flowers denoted medicinal qualities in bourbon at the time, or in advertising at the time. And that kind of leads me to Forester, which has nothing to do with the name George Garvin Brown. That is because the initial concept was a medicinal whiskey to pitch to the pharmacists and physicians in the midst of all this illegitimate crap that was out there giving bourbon a bad name. So basically George needed a spokesmodel, and he finds Dr. William Forester, who's a a Union Army Civil War surgeon, had a very successful practice here in downtown Louisville following the war, so they partnered up. He used George's medicinal whiskey in his practice. In exchange for a small share of the company, lent us his good doctoral name to give the bourbon credence and credibility out there in the marketplace. Pretty fascinating guy. If you are familiar with Louisville or you drive around enough, his parents, as a young man, died in the cholera outbreak. He was adopted by one J.B. Speed. And you drive around Louisville, you will see a Speed Avenue, a Speed School, a Speed Art Museum down at U of L. Very prominent family back in the day, close friends with the Lincolns. His adopted dad, JB, was actually on Lincoln's cabinet as president. So it's crazy to think about, but growing up, he would have had like Uncle Abe stopping by for Sunday supper. Crazy stuff like that. All right,